So what do y'all think? Would you agree that everything is moving in a circular flow around our society? All right, so look at it like this when we talk about circular flow. Take the United States economy. You guys remember what type of economy we have here? Is it a mixed, a traditional, a free market, or a command? Y'all remember when we talked about that? What do y'all think it is? It's a mix because our government makes decisions, right, within what we can provide. So, think of our economy as, think about this bowl that I have right here. Y'all with me? And the United States economy is inside of it. Now, if everything's moving the way it's supposed to be, let's say that's normal. Y'all with me? That speed is normal. So, everything's moving the way it's supposed to be. Our economy is moving exactly at the same point of where we can buy and sell things and keep it competitive. You guys with me? All right. Let's say our economy all of a sudden does this. Slows down mightily. Now here's where you got to do some thinking. If the economy slows down, what does that mean that goods and services are doing? And labor and money. Everything is done what? Slowed down. So in order for our economy to pick back up, what are some things that our government can do? Think of that bowl as the economy and think of this part.
Turn back on.
Think about this part as the government. So if it's moving too slow, what can our government do to get it moving again? It can put goods and resources into it, right? Y'all with me? Money. And if we put that money into the economy, it will eventually do what? Speed back up. Y'all understand that? You guys remember when we had the recession in 2008? I know y'all don't remember it. But when President Obama had to deal with that, he put like $720 billion into the economy. The reason he done that is because the economy was moving way too slow. And people were running out of money and jobs were getting taken, so it was a bad situation. So he tried to bail out businesses by giving them money, okay, which worked. It helped get us back on our feet. Now, that's if it goes too slow. If the economy is moving too slow, it's called a period of recession. I want you to write that on your paper. It's not on the board. Just simply write down the word recession. R-E-C-E-S-S-I-O-N. A recession is when the economy is moving too slow. The economy is moving too slow. All right? And I'm sorry, but the title of this is Circular Flow. Excuse me. So, a recession is when the economy is moving too slow. In order to get its speed back up, we've got to put money back into the economy. You guys with me on that? All right, next word I want you to write down is the word inflation. I-N-F-L-A-T-I-O-N. Inflation. Now again, guys, we're going to spend a lot of time on these later. I just want you to have a kind of an idea of it right now, okay? So, a recession is the economy is moving too slow, so an inflation would be what? If the economy is moving too fast. So write down the economy is moving too fast. Now let me explain to you what I mean by that. We can break both of these down based on money. You with me? In a recession, there's not enough money. So we got to get more money into the economy to speed it up. In an inflation, do you think there's too much or too little money in the economy? There's too much. Means everything, you got to pay a little bit more than what you should for everything. So we've got to be able to take money out of the economy. How do you think you take money out of the economy? What can the government do to take money out of the economy? Think about taxes. Look at it like this. If they wanted to take money out of the economy, what would they do to taxes? Lower or raise them? Raise them, because we'd have to pay more, right? Well, what if we were in a recession and everything's moving too slow? What would they do to taxes? Lower them, right? Remember those bonds we were talking about that the government has that you can buy? Remember we talking about when we was talking about investing? All right, if I'm trying to make the economy speed up, if we're in a recession, what would the government do with those bonds? Would they buy them back or would they sell them? They'd buy them back because they're giving us money, and when we get extra money, what do we tend to do with it? Spend it. Helps the economy, right? It's vice versa in inflation. If there's a period of inflation, they're going to want to sell those bonds to take money out. You guys with me? So that's kind of how recession and inflation works. But let's deal a little bit with circular flow, okay? So there is quite a bit right here. I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to draw our conclusions from it, okay? So a nation's overall level of income, employment, and prices are determined by the interaction of spending and production decisions made by all households, firms, government agencies, and others in the economy. One person's spending is other people's income. And what do you think they mean by that? If I buy something from a business, that business is taking that money and paying their employees with it, right? So my spending is someone else's income, okay? And yours too. When consumers make purchases, goods and services are transferred from business to household in exchange for money payments. That money is used in turn by businesses to pay for resources, whether it be natural or human, and capital goods, and to pay taxes. The circular flow model illustrates the flow of economic activity. And that's a lot of people doing a lot of different things in those two little statements there, right? So, let's make this as simple as possible, okay? Here's what we're going to do. Well, I'm going to ask you to be an artist for a second. I want you to try to draw a house on one side of your paper. It don't have to be Michelangelo. Just do your best, okay? Just so you know that it's a house. All right? And then off to the side of it, we're going to draw a business, okay? I don't know, like a factory or something. Okay, so we got our little business. All right, now I don't know how well you guys can see that. There we go, that's good. But we're going to draw some arrows and adjust some things to make you guys kind of understand what circular flow is. Okay, so go ahead and draw that, and then we'll start back up here. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump back and forth between this slide and the one before it, and we're going to add other stuff to these lines, okay? So go ahead and draw you one big line coming out of the top of the factory and going into the household, okay? Now, you need to understand what that line represents. These businesses, and guys, I know I drew a factory, but it could be any business, okay? What are businesses providing households? According to your notes, what are they doing for them? They're providing them what? Goods and services. So somewhere on that line, we're going to write down goods and services. Goods and services. Okay? And guys, those goods and services could be a million different things, right? Toothpaste, shoes, clothes, tires for cars, windshield wipers, cleaning materials, chairs. You know, the list goes on and on and on. But these businesses provide goods and services to houses. Now, if we jump back up here to this chart, it says one person's spending is another person's income. So what is happening here is the spending from this is becoming whose income?
The factory.
The factory. So those goods and services provide a what? What's the whole idea of running a business? Is to make what?
Money.
Money. And in a business's standpoint, to make money, they call that what?
Profit.
Profit. So underneath goods and services, I know it's not on those notes. Write down the word profit. They have to sell that stuff in order to make money, right? So goods and services. Okay? Now, at the bottom of your house, draw a line coming out of the bottom of your house and going to the factory or the business. Okay? And on that line it says factors of production. So we'll go ahead and write down factors of production.
Drop arrow to.
We're on the very bottom one, the other black one down there. Factors of production. Now, when it comes to factors of production, what do you think we're doing here? Oh, what's wrong? What are these factors of production? Well, one of them, what is coming out of households and going into these businesses? You think about it a minute. How many of you had a guardian or parent get up this morning and go to work? Raise your hand. Don't matter if they own their own business or not. All right. They got up. What are these households selling to these businesses? Their what?
Time and money.
Their labor, right? So, factor of production, let's write down labor. Jace also had another good one. Their time, right? You are giving them your time in order for them to give you what? Money. Write down money. Okay? Now, that same money that these businesses are paying households to work for them, what do you think those businesses in return are giving to the homes? Money, right? So back at that top line, we can write down money again. These businesses pay the households, and in return, these households go out and buy goods and services. It may not be from the same business, but it goes into another business, right? And then they do the whole process over again. So that's my idea, okay? A good example of how money flows. How many of you's got any money on you right now? Like dollars or anything? How many of you's got a dollar bill? You got a dollar bill, Casey? Get that dollar bill out for me. You got one, Jace?
Nope.
You lying. You got more money than you know what to do
I
with
only
it.
got my wallet. It's all in checks. It ain't cash.
Listen at you.
Yeah.
All right, hand me that dollar, would you? I may or may not give it back.
Thank you.
Let me see that thing, Jason. All right, now.
You can keep it if I can have a drink.
All right. You guys can't see this, but on this dollar bill, you know, you got all these serial numbers and that sort of thing. But if you'll notice right here, there's a one number here, a one number here, one here, and one here. Y'all see that number, Jace? That black number? It's in each corner.
Yeah, 5.
What is that number?
5.
It's a 5. These go all the way up to 12. Okay? Those are the Federal Reserves. Okay? So you got the 5s in each spot. The number 12, if we had more kids in here, if the virus hadn't hit, if we had more people in here, I could explain this a lot better because somebody would have a dollar bill that has a 12 on it. That dollar bill was made in San Francisco, California. 10 is out in like Arizona. So that dollar bill,
Of the 2.
well, 10 is made somewhere in Arizona. But my point is this. how is Casey? Casey, have you been to California in the last, I don't know, when you got this dollar?
Went last year.
Did you get this dollar while you was there? More than likely not, right? So how would Casey end up with a dollar that's that far out west in his pocket? You have a 12, that dollar came from California. You been to California? No. So how does Alejandro end up with a 12? A dollar from...
Travelers. come
Yeah,
and buy
people
stuff.
buy stuff here. That business uses it to maybe give her change back, right? She'll use it somewhere else. The concept is money is moving constantly. Think about that just like goods and resources, okay? So, go back to our circular flow chart. All right? So, let's draw us another arrow out of the house. See the one where it says consumer expenditure? We're not going to write that down. But we're going to draw another arrow coming out of the house and going to the business. Okay? All right? And on that one, we're going to put down that we're going to buy goods and services. Because that's what we're going to buy from these businesses. Okay?
What do you do? Who just knows? Who'd you get from? What? Marshall Wood. I know somebody lives back around Bristol, like, and, I was out to work for him in warranty, pushing stuff.
All right. And guys, very simply, that line coming out of the household where it says goods and services, we buy those goods and services from factories, right? And then we're going to draw another line out of the factory, going back to the home. And what do they give us in response to buying those goods and services? Well, they give us wages. They pay people, right? We're able to buy our homes. We're able to rent our homes. We're able to invest. So we're going to write down wages and investments. Wages and investments. But guys, the whole thing here, what I'm trying to get you to understand, regardless of if it's money, goods and services, whatever it may be, it's all moving in a circular flow throughout the economy. Does everybody understand that? So let's get on some of the...
Say right down, all three of them.
Yeah. Now we're going to give... So you guys, let me move this over. Your guys should look like this. If I can move it. That's what mine looks like. So you guys should have something that looks similar to that. Okay? Can y'all see it? All right, so now let's get down to actually writing this out and it making sense. So below your little chart there, it says the circular flow model illustrates the way in which resources, goods and services, money, business and government. All right, so write down circular flow. We're going to define it in a way that I hope will make sense. Okay? So we're going to put down is how resources, goods and services. This is kind of lengthy, so if you get behind, just tell me. So it's how resources, goods and services and money y'all with me so far? how resources, goods and services, and money flow. Underline or circle the word flow. Among individuals, businesses, and government, and the government. So circular flow is how resources, goods and services, and money flow among individuals, businesses, and the government. Everything moving within the circular flow, okay? So what this chart basically does is break down what each of these have, okay? Now, if you'll notice, in your chart that I made you draw, I didn't put anything about the government in it, did I? But guys, use common sense. What do businesses and individuals give the government? We pay them what? Think about it. What do we pay the government? Taxes. What does the government, so we put money into the government, right? What does the government in turn do with that money? They provide us with public goods and services like roads, education, things of that nature, right? So they're using it to benefit us. So we're getting it back, it's just in a different way than actual money. You guys understand that? But I didn't put that up there because I didn't want it to be confusing. You guys got it? We're going to talk about it a little bit now. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what households have, okay? So underneath circular flow, I would just write down the word households. And what is it that they are giving and or receiving in our little chart? Because this is the part I need you to understand, okay? So, it says individuals and households. They include things such as natural, capital, and human resources. So, in a household, what do we give? We've already wrote it once. It's the factors of production. Y'all see that up there where we wrote factors of production? We're just going to name what those factors of production are. All right? So, these include natural, capital, and human resources. Okay, and then the one is probably the most important one is the last one up there. Put down that they have entrepreneur skills. Because guys, at the end of the day, who's running all these businesses to try to make money? People, right? So all that comes out of the households. All those resources and the idea of making money. Now, still underneath households, still talking about what households do. So what do households do with these resources that they have? They take them to the market and they're going to do what with them? It don't do me any good to have all these natural capital and human resources if I don't go do what with them? Use them. How am I going to use them? I'm going to go to a business. I'm going to apply for a job. They're going to give me a job and I'm going to use my skills to produce things, right? And when I produce these things, they're going to pay me money, correct? So if you'll look at the third paragraph down, it says individuals and households may take their resources to market and sell them. So, same thing underneath households. Put down that we sell resources. We will sell our resources for what? Common sense, guys.
Money.
Money. You're going to pay me to do a certain task, that's fine. as long as I think that pay is what I think it should be, right? I'm not going to work for nothing, right? But if we both think it's fair, then I'll work for you. Like Jace, I see him all the time cutting grass up here. He's working for someone who he feels like's giving him a pretty fair shake at whatever they're paying him, right?
Yeah.
And if he didn't, would he do it? Probably not, right? So, we sell these resources for money. What do we do with that money? If we look back up here at our chart,
Spend it.
we buy goods and services, right? Going right back into something, okay? Now, write down the word business. Now, businesses, they don't sell these resources. They're going to go buy these human resources, right? So businesses buy human resources. Now, guys, I don't literally mean they're buying people, okay? What I mean by this is they're going to pay people to do what? Produce what?
Good service.
Yeah. So they're going to buy human resources. In parentheses, write down the word wage, because they're going to pay someone a wage, right? So they're going to buy these human resources. And in hopes that these people are going to produce, you need to write this part down, produce goods and services. Okay? So they can produce goods and services. Is everybody with me so far? Is this making sense? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
Talk to me. All right. So, the last part that we have here should be about the government. And we haven't really talked about them yet, okay? So, and we've already done this part. It says households will take their income that they get from making goods and services and buy things they want. You've already wrote that down where it says buy goods and services. Businesses or firms in the goods and services take the money from those sales in order to perform more business. So when you pay a business money, they try to use it to make their business better, right? Things you already know. The business then can then buy more resources to produce, which can continue to buy more products, which they can hire more people, right? So, where does the government come into this? It says the government can be added to the simple circular flow as it buys goods and services and resources in order to produce certain goods and resources. So, let's write this down. Write down government, circle it. This is the last one, I promise. Okay? So, does the government need certain things to be able to do what they do? Yes or no? They need certain products, right? Like I'm pretty confident I can walk in the Oval Office and there's going to be a legal pad, telephone, pens, things of that nature, right? They got to conduct business, correct? So they're going to need certain goods and services. So, put down that the government can be added into simple circular flow as it buys goods and services. So the government buys goods and services. So simply write down buys goods and services. Okay? Buys goods and services. Obviously, they're buying these goods and services to produce their own stuff, right? Now, how, and we've already talked about this, how is the government buying this stuff? Where do they get their money from? Through what? How do they get money, guys? Think.
Taxes.
Through taxes. So they buy services. We're going to write down the word taxes. All right. To produce things. So, tax income then, and we're going to put this down. Tax income provides what? It doesn't just provide for you or me, it provides for who? All of us, right? So tax income provides public goods and services. So let me see if I can make this simpler. The government taxes us. They tax businesses too, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. They take all that money and then they'll give some of it back to the businesses at the end of the year. They'll give us some of it back at the end of the year. But for the most part, they try to provide goods and services for everybody, right? Right? Y'all understand that? Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about this? Y'all with me there? All right, that's very simple what I have about circular flow. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.